What is up, everybody? Chris, the DGen here, Dice DGen on YouTube. Welcome to week 11 of the NFL regular season. It was an interesting week last week. My Birds got their first loss, unfortunately. But it was an interesting week. Jonathan Taylor finally made an appearance in fantasy. That was nice to see. First or second overall pick's been a bust all season long. Finally came through. So that was good. But week 11, right, we're going to go over the recap from last week. We're going to go over the key injuries, key matchups, the analysis, my picks for the week, who I like, who I don't like, some value plays. Let's figure out what's going on, right? There's some pretty sharp pricing between DraftKings and FanDuel this week. It's going to be a decision maker, right? It's going to be a decision maker this week to figure out, do you want to spend up and where do you want to spend up? Right? Do you want to go get that top quarterback? Do you want to get that top running back? Do you want to get that top receiver? Do you want to go get two top guys and then try to piece together the rest of your lineup? All right, so we're going to go over all that today. Real quick, I will address this question. How do I feel about Taylor Heinicke being better than Jalen Hurts? Fake news. All right, Taylor Heinicke is not better than Jalen Hurts. However, on that plane ride, though, did you guys see that drip on the plane ride? He pulled a Kirk Cousins. That was pretty fire. That was just a rough game all around. It wasn't fun to watch. As an Eagles fan, it wasn't fun to watch. The refs were bad on both sides. It was just a poor game. It is what it is. Heinicke did have a good game, though. He did make some key plays that I respected a lot. Didn't think he had it in him. To tell you the truth, he scares me more than Carson Wentz does. Watching Carson Wentz play for as many years as I have in Philly, he doesn't scare me. Heinicke, he's got that little edge on him that scares me a bit. But we'll go over him in a little bit. All right. Real quick, Discord. All right, link down below. If you guys aren't in the Discord already, hop in the Discord. Get in there. DFS Domination. I post the plays that I like. I rank them 1 through 5, 1 through 6 on Sunday morning. All right. This week, I will be in Vegas on Sunday, so I will try to get those picks posted for the East Coast. I got to account for the time change stuff. I will get those picks posted, though. So DFS Domination, that's where it is. Instagram, Daily Fantasy Domination. Twitter, also Daily Fantasy Domination. I post the plays across all 3 platforms, so if you have a preference on those, pick which one. They're there. All right, drop a follow. Make sure you guys are liking the video. Subscribe if you guys aren't subscribed to Casino Gaming TV already. All right, that's where this is being hosted. Casino Gaming TV with the DGen on a Wednesday night. It's always a good time. Real quick, the refs were bad. A.J. Brown was worse. That's a fact. He did get hurt, though. He has an ankle injury going on. He was basically a non-factor the entire time. So, yeah, A.J. Brown did not have a good game. My fantasy team will tell you that as well. Homer pick bit me. It is what it is. All right, review from Week 10. How did we do? We'll talk about my plays. I did have a nice win on FanDuel in a little double up, a little $50 entry, won 100, and then I used some of that to go in on the late slate, and I turned that into some profits, so that was nice. But QBs from Week 10. All right, QBs from Week 10. I gave you guys Patty Mahomes, Justin Fields, Josh Allen, Tua, Danny Dimes, and Andy Dalton. I will never give you Andy Dalton again. I will never give you really anybody from the Saints again. I won't say that, but I won't give you anybody from the Saints again. They suck. They're terrible. However, I did say I hate the Packers, and they beat the Cowboys. So I love the Packers last week. They were great, but they're still a bad team, but that's beside the point. All right, how do we do? Justin Fields, number 1 overall. He's had, I think, 3 or 4 100-plus yard rushing games in the past couple of games. He's on a tear. He's finished first overall in terms of QBs last week. Patty Mahomes finished second. I told you those were my 2 favorites. If you want to spend up at quarterback, go grab Patty Mahomes. If you want to save a little bit, Justin Fields is the play. All right, those were the 2 quarterbacks that I said are must plays. Josh Allen with the injury, he finished 6th, not too bad. Tua finished 3rd overall in quarterback last week, so not bad for him either. Daniel Jones 14th overall, and then Andy Dalton 26th. Just that Saints offense is like non-existent. They're lethargic. They look terrible. They can't move the ball. I don't understand it. But they're bad. So it is what it is. Running backs. Saquon Barkley finished second overall. He was my favorite play last week. Etienne, I liked a lot. He did not have a great week. The Jaguars overall just didn't look great. He finished 25th. Alvin Kamara finished 38th. Again, the Saints weren't doing anything all game long. They looked pathetic. Josh Jacobs finished 9th. Jeff Wilson Jr. finished 6th, which is actually pretty impressive considering that Raheem Mostert was also in the top 10 last week. So you had the two running backs from Miami finish in the top 10 last week in terms of points scored. So good backfield. If you doubled up on the Miami backfield, you stacked them up. Good for you. And I mentioned it in the beginning. Jonathan Taylor finally made an appearance and still hasn't gotten his value for being that number 1 or a number 2 overall pick in 99% of fantasy leagues, unless you're playing with people who don't know what they're doing. But he finally had a good week. He actually finished first this past week, so that was a nice week for Jonathan Taylor. Wide receivers, kind of bad this week. All right, didn't pick the best wide receivers that I could have this week, with the exception of Christian Kirk. He finished 5th overall in terms of receivers, but if you look at the value chart on like a FanDuel after the week is over, he was number 1. So good for him. Christian Kirk balled out. He had a great week. Tyreek Hill didn't do much, finished 23rd. He had, decent yardage, but not much overall. Amari Cooper was one of my favorite plays of the week. Absolute dud from him and from Cleveland as a whole. That Miami defense was letting up a lot of points to receivers, and Cleveland did not maximize on that at all, with the exception of Donovan Peoples-Jones. But Amari Cooper was just not there, so it is what it is. Olave didn't have a great week either. Amon-Ra St. Brown finished like 17th overall, and Claypool was just non-existent. Justin Fields took over. He was running the ball. He just was a one-man wrecking crew. And then for tight ends, Dulcich did absolutely nothing. Denver did absolutely nothing. Kelsey finished 2nd overall, so good for him. Ertz got hurt, and he is out probably for the rest of the season, most likely. So he didn't have a great week, obviously. Juwan Johnson has been a stud for fantasy this year, the past few weeks. He finished 4th overall, so decent picks there. But my favorite play of the week that I was saying with Dulcich, he cost me in a couple of contests that I had him in. So it is what it is, but I paid down for him to get some of those other guys. So, you give, you take. It is what it is. All right, so injuries this week. These are the key ones that I'm watching specifically for my lineup construction. There are other injuries, obviously. Zeke, I feel like he's been on the injury report on this channel here for the past 3 or 4 weeks. He's still got that knee problem. If I was the Cowboys, I would just keep rolling with Pollard, all right? If Zeke is out, I love Pollard this week again. I've loved him the past few weeks. He's been having good weeks. So if Zeke is out, we like Pollard. Khalil Herbert with that hip injury, if he's out, one, means more time for David Montgomery. He'll be like the only back in the backfield. The only problem there is Justin Fields is eaten in that rushing game. So give take there. Jerry Jeudy with the ankle could be a game time decision. They're not really sure what's going on there. There's not too much to find with the injury. They say he may play, he may not play. We'll figure it out closer to game time, but that opens up some more opportunity for Cortland Sutton. Corey Davis has the knee issue going on. Again, I don't really care what Corey Davis has going on. If he's in, okay. If he's out, fantastic, because Garrett Wilson will pick up some more yardage and some more targets from Zach Wilson. So we like that. And then Mark Andrews with the shoulder, watching that one very closely because he's very high priced this week. And his backup likely is playing. His backup's name is Likely, for those who don't know. Likely, he could be a good value play this week. So we'll see what's going on there. But let's take a quick look at the matchups. All right, so Thursday night, again, not given, we're only really focusing on the main slate, but Thursday night, you have Tennessee against Green Bay. That's tomorrow night. The main slate, we have Chicago against Atlanta. We like that matchup. We're targeting there. Cleveland against Buffalo, Philly against Indianapolis, the Jets against New England. The Rams, they're in a bad spot. Cooper Kupp out for the season. Is Matt Stafford back? They could be in a tough spot, but they're playing against New Orleans, so they should be all right because that team can't do anything, right? Detroit against the Giants, Carolina, and Baltimore. Washington has Houston. There's an interesting matchup there for Heineke. We'll talk about that in a little bit. The Raiders and Denver, and then Dallas, Minnesota, and finally Cincy against Pittsburgh. Then we have Kansas City and Los Angeles on the Sunday night primetime game, Monday night primetime, San Francisco and Arizona on the bye, Jacksonville, Miami, Seattle, Tampa Bay. Some of the big name receivers off the board this week, right? The Miami receivers with Tyreek Hill and Waddle not available because they're on a bye. Godwin, Evans obviously on a bye. Cooper Kupp is hurt now. So who are we looking at? We'll find out. Let's go over the defensive rankings real quick. Again, this is a screenshot on the left from my model showing which defenses are good against which position. All right. The defenses or the boxes in green are areas that we look to target. The areas in red are defenses that are good against that specific position. So the defenses in green against a specific position we like to target. All right. Overall defensive ranking on the right-hand side, if you're interested in that. So let's go over the guys I like this week. Flip screens here, and we will talk about it. All right, QBs. Let's go over QBs first, as we do all the time. All right, you're going to say, why do you have so many of the guys on top of the board highlighted? Well, this is a week, I'm going to be honest with you, that I'm spending up at quarterback. I'm picking one of these guys, probably in the top few guys up here. There's very little value as you go down, but we'll go over it. All right, so Jalen Hurts up first. I don't have a favorite at this current moment. If you made me pick a favorite right now, it would probably be Justin Fields with that rushing upside. We'll go over him in a minute, though. Jalen Hurts playing against the Colts. They're 15th overall defense, 11th in points allowed to quarterback. Coming off a bad week, looked for him to really bounce back. Look for them to get that offense flying again, all right? The model has him at a 2.13 value, so almost double the value. So I like Jalen Hurts. Justin Fields this week I like a lot. I said it before. The reason I like him a lot, they're playing against Atlanta. Atlanta's an awful defense. They're 30th in the league overall, so that puts them at the bottom three defenses, and they're 24th in the league against quarterbacks. All right. They're also very bad against the run. All right. They're one of the worst in the league against running backs. So combine all that together, Justin Fields looks to have a good week. The model has him the highest value of a quarterback so far this season, highest value on the slate this week. They have him at a 4.7. The model is projecting him value. So that's a very high value for Justin Fields this week. Look to exploit that. Otherwise, Daniel Jones is an interesting matchup against Detroit. You could spend down a little bit on, especially on DraftKings. You can get some salary relief there on FanDuel, maybe about $1,000, $900, depending on FanDuel or DraftKings. But on DraftKings, he's got a good price on DraftKings. So if you're playing on DraftKings, Daniel Jones might be a play this week just so you can get up at those higher echelon running backs, higher echelon wide receivers. But playing against Detroit, worst defense in the NFL, worst defense against the quarterback. All right. He's got a high value as well, 3.81. So he's got a good value this week. So look for Daniel Jones to be a good pick this week, especially if you're looking to spend down a little bit. I personally wouldn't take him over a Justin Fields, but if you're looking for that salary relief, Danny Jones could be a great option for you. I just prefer the rushing upside against Atlanta for Justin Fields. Dak Prescott has an interesting matchup against Minnesota. Primetime Minnesota. Kirk Cousins in the primetime. He's not great. Playing in a dome, so see what happens. But Minnesota's defense, 12th overall, 25th against quarterbacks. So not very good in terms of quarterback play. and allowing points to quarterbacks. So take a look at Prescott if you want this week. Again, personally, I'd be going up to Danny Jones if I'm trying to decide between Prescott and Jones. So that's that for you. Lamar Jackson against Carolina. They're 27th overall defense. 17th in points allowed to quarterback. They're also very bad against the run, so that's why I like Lamar Jackson there. He could be missing his target, his favorite target in Mark Andrews, so keep an eye on that. And then Joe Burrow is not a terrible play against Pittsburgh. He's got a pretty high value as well, according to the model this week. Pittsburgh's defense isn't very good, so look for Joe Burrow if you want. Again, I prefer Fields or a Daniel Jones over a Burrow, so figure that out. Heineke, if you guys like a Heineke, he's got a good value this week. He's a 3 on the value scale, from 1 being average, so he's a 3, so that's pretty good. So Heineke could be a play if you're looking to really spend down at the quarterback position this week. Again, up to you how you want to do it. Those are the guys I like this week. Running back position, all right? Saquon, my favorite running back overall yet again this week. I loved him last week. I love him even more this week, all right? He does have a high price tag, $9,700 on FanDuel, almost $9K on DraftKings, so he is a high price running back, but worth it, all right? Playing against Detroit, told you they're the worst defense in the league. They're the worst against quarterbacks. They're one of the worst against running backs as well. He's got the highest value on the running back slate at a 3.05. So Saquon is my favorite. Joe Mixon is also an interesting pick against Pittsburgh. They're bad against the run. He has a nice value according to the model as well. So Joe Mixon could be a good play for you. Again, not really a value play because he is high priced, but it'd be a good pick. Josh Jacobs playing against Denver. They do have one of the best defenses in the league, but they struggle against the run, so that's the reason Josh Jacobs is on there. Personally, I'm staying away from a Josh Jacobs, but again, he has that potential to go off this week, so if you like a Josh Jacobs, he could be a good option. Same thing with Dalvin Cook, all right, playing against Dallas. I don't love the spot for him, but it could be a good option. Ramondre Stevenson, again, against the Jets, 9th overall defense, 12th in points allowed to running backs. This mid-tier here, it's a tough spot. You're really picking straws between them, really trying to figure out who's going to have the better day. I'm going up to get Barkley at that point, all right? Again, Tony Pollard, I mentioned him. If Zeke is out, I like Pollard a lot. Dameon Pierce is another one that could be a good play this week. Washington's defense is not very good, but they do well against the run, so be mindful of that. Alvin Kamara, he's been biting me all season long, but it's just he's like that number one. He's the number one back there, and why aren't they doing anything with him? I don't know. I like him. I don't love him. He keeps biting me. He's on the list, but I don't love him. Let's scroll down a bit here to some other guys that I like a lot more. All right, some more value type plays. Cordarrelle Patterson. All right, model has him at a 2.67. Good value for Patterson. On Atlanta, playing against that Chicago team. Chicago's defense, they're not very good. Cordarrelle Patterson is going to be that number one guy in the backfield for Atlanta. So if you like that matchup, definitely be an option. Brian Robinson Jr., I like him better than Antonio Gibson. All right, Brian Robinson Jr. seems to be on the field more in more meaningful situations. All right, so if you're going to take one of the Washington backs, I would take Robinson. If you prefer Gibson, you're splitting hairs with pricing here, so you can pick which one. But Robinson is on the field in more meaningful situations. Gibson's usually that like third down back coming in. I look for Robinson to do more. When Washington is leading, Robinson seems to be the guy they go to. He's getting healthier and healthier every week after being shot. So Brian Robinson is a guy I like there. And then Devin Singletary. Love him this week. All right, love Devin Singletary because you're playing against the Browns. 24th overall defense, 31st in the league against running backs. One of the worst teams against running backs. He's getting more of a feature in that offense. And if they go up early on Cleveland, which I fully expect the Bills to do, look for them to run that ball. Josh Allen might be getting some rushing yards, but look for them to run the ball. Singletary's the number one guy there. So I like that play for this week as well. Other than that, there's no one really down this listing here that I'm really willing to jump at too much here. So let's flip over to the wide receivers and let's talk about it. All right. So Justin Jefferson, like him a lot. High price tag. You got to weigh those out. All right. Dallas's defense, they're good against wide receivers. They're bad. All right. 21st in the league. So take a look at Justin Jefferson. Again, you're going to be paying up for him. Amon-Ra St. Brown. I like them, but I think they're in a tough matchup this week against the Giants. So be mindful of that matchup. 8th overall defense, 5th against wide receivers. So he might be struggling there a little bit, but look for him to really bounce back. He hasn't really had a good week in a while, and he's due. He's due for a bounce back. Terry McLaurin, again, if Heineke's throwing the ball, McLaurin torched Darius Slay, who's been one of the best cornerbacks in the league all season long. So he's better than any better than any cornerback that Houston has. Take a look at that. Garrett Wilson, I said I liked him. He's playing against he's down here. He's playing against the New England Patriots. Tough matchup there, but if Corey Davis is out, he's your guy to take over there. Cortland Sutton, I mentioned him. Jerry Jeudy being out. Cortland Sutton instantly jumps up to the list. I don't love trusting Russell Wilson at this point. Never thought I'd really say that, but he's been having a rough year. Got to weigh that out. Chris Olave against the Rams. All right. They have a bad defense against wide receivers. I like him quite a bit this week. DJ Moore. All right. I love DJ Moore this week. I've loved him a couple weeks. He's done well for me all season long. DJ Moore this week is in a great spot against Baltimore. 13th overall defense, 27th overall against wide receivers. So they struggle against the wide receivers. Look for DJ Moore to have a good week. Michael Pittman Jr., the reason he is on here is, well, Indianapolis is probably going to be trailing. They're going to be throwing the ball a lot. I expect that Eagles offense to come out with a fire lit under them. So Michael Pittman could be due for some targets down the line there because they're going to be in a place they need to throw the ball quite a bit. The only thing is, and again, you can take this how you want because Terry McLaurin torched him last week. Pittman will be guarded by Slay. I don't expect Slay to have a bad week like he did last week. So Pittman's an option, but I'm going to scroll down here a little bit to Paris Campbell. All right. He's going to be the number 2 guy. You could also go with Alec Pierce if you want that Indianapolis receiver core. I like Paris Campbell better than I like Alex Pierce, but Paris Campbell could be an option for you this week as well if you're looking to exploit that matchup. Another guy I like this week, Darius Slayton. All right. Detroit, again, we're really looking to exploit that Giants-Detroit matchup. It's going to be a lot of points this week, all right, in that matchup especially. Detroit's bad. They let up a lot of points on a weekly basis. Again, worst defense. They're 26th in the league against wide receivers. Slayton seems to be that number 1 guy for Danny Dimes, so look for Slayton. Deontay Johnson, interesting option there. I don't love Deontay Johnson this week, but if you don't want to stack too many Giants players, I do like him in that spot. And another guy I like a lot this week, probably one of my favorites, and he's got a great value, is Darnell Mooney. He's been on the list before a couple weeks ago. Playing against Atlanta, 30th overall defense, worst in the league against wide receivers. So I like Mooney this week. If you don't want to go get a Mooney, a Claypool is a good option there as well, but I like Mooney a lot better than Claypool. And if you're looking for a real salary saver, again, Mooney's a good salary saver. Drake London for Atlanta, just the flip side of that Chicago-Atlanta matchup. Drake London could be a good play this week, good value play there. Again, I don't love him, but could be a good value play. Mooney is definitely one of my favorites and will be on my listing this week. All right, tight end time. Let's go to the tight ends. Flip screens here. Tight ends, all right. Mark Andrews, that price tag, I'm not going to touch him at that price tag. You guys know that I like to pay down a bit for receivers, try to find a value spot for tight ends, especially if he's injured, right? I like Likely a lot. He's right here on the list, all right? Likely could be a good play this week against that Carolina defense. They're 27th in the league overall, 13th against tight ends. Not a great team. Likely could be a good play. Hawkinson, I do like Hawkinson. He is in a tough spot, though. The reason I like Hawkinson is he's been trending upwards in targets since he's been in Minnesota. He's been getting almost double-digit targets every single game, so I do like that from a PPR perspective. Again, make sure you know what your competition that you're entering is. Is it PPR? Is it half-point PPR? No PPR. Know what your contest is. If it's a PPR contest, TJ Hawkinson, he catches the ball. He might not put up a ton of yards. He may not get in the end zone. We'll find out, but he does get the catches, so he's a good option. Dalton Schultz, though, the flip side of that tight end matchup, I like him a lot better. Minnesota, their defense is decent, middle of the pack overall, but they're one of the worst against tight ends. They're 25th in the league against tight ends, so I like that Dalton Schultz matchup. Kyle Pitts is another one, just really harping on that Chicago-Atlanta matchup. He's been having an up and down season. You could take a Pitts personally. I'd go likely or Freiermuth. Freiermuth has an interesting matchup against Cincinnati. And then Juwan Johnson also has a good matchup this week. So take a look at those guys. But Dalton Schultz is probably my favorite on this slate at the current minute. Again, if Mark Andrews is out, likely might shoot up to that favorite spot. So we'll find out as the week goes. And no other value here for tight ends. So those are the guys that I'm really looking to get. If you really want to go low on a tight end, you could potentially go Daniel Bellinger on the Giants. Again, be careful stacking too many Giants players on the same team in case they have a bad week. He does have some injuries, so we'll see if he's available or not. But I'm not looking to get to him. I'm going to go up to Juwan Johnson or Freiermuth over him. And then defenses, I'm just going to put this up here. You guys know that I pick and plug defenses at the very end, whatever fits the salary. I don't really care. If I get beat by a defense, oh well. I'm not looking to spend up to get some defense on my team. So there's the listing of defenses, though. So if you guys like the defense, go ahead. There they are, all the listings. I don't really have a favorite defense this week. I'm, again, just going to pick whoever fits in the roster cap. All right, so let's go back to this screen here. Some mock lineups. All right, guys. These aren't final lineups by any stretch of the imagination. These are just mock lineups, so do what you wish with them. They all mention the guys that I like, though, a lot. Justin Fields at quarterback, Saquon, Devin Singletary. Those are my two favorite running backs, so they're in there with Fields. Just three studs rushing the ball. We have Mooney. All right. The only problem with this matchup for me is that I stacked three Chicago players together, but I do like how it came out, so be mindful of that, though. So Fields, Barkley, Singletary, Mooney, Slayton, Paris Campbell, Cole Kmet, Cordarrelle Patterson, and the Bears defense. The thing with this lineup, right, is that we're really stacking on that top quarterback, top running back. This is what I'm saying with you have to pick your spots where you're paying up, because if you're going to pay up at quarterback and at running back, you see what happens to the wide receiver pool after that, right? So keep that stuff in mind. Just another one to show what happens if you pay down at quarterback, right? Danny Dimes. You got Mixon and Cordarrelle Patterson, so we're getting a high price tag running back in Mixon. And then we're also getting Justin Jefferson, all right? So you got to weigh if you want to pay up at which position. Here's just a couple different variations, paying at different positions. So Danny Dimes, Mixon, Cordarrelle Patterson, Justin Jefferson, DJ Moore, Devin Duvernay. He might be a good guy this week. He may be a good guy this week. We're waiting on that Mark Andrews injury report, though, because if Mark Andrews is injured, Likely and Duvernay are going to be good picks this week for Baltimore, so we'll take a look there. Juwan Johnson at tight end, Brian Robinson Jr., and then the last slot. As always, we don't care. It's whatever fits in the rest of the salary that we have. Raiders, don't love them, but, whatever. They fill out the roster. That's on DraftKings FanDuel. Here you go, paying up for Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. Getting Brian Robinson Jr. We're getting three solid wide receivers, all right, in Olave, Moore, and Mooney, but we're not paying up for that top guy in this situation at the wide receiver position because we have a high-priced quarterback, high-priced running back, so we're dialing it back at the wide receiver position a little bit. But this is a solid, well-rounded lineup, rounding it out with Freiermuth, Cordell Patterson, and again, the Raiders because they fit. Here we go with, again, paying down at quarterback with Daniel Jones, getting Devin Singletary and Joe Mixon, Justin Jefferson, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Brandon Cooks, Dalton Schultz, Brian Robinson Jr., and again, the Raiders because they fit. Brandon Cooks is an interesting play this week. I don't love Houston, and I don't think he's going to have a fantastic week, but he could potentially have a decent week. But at that 6,100 price tag, there's other guys there that I've mentioned that you could swap in and out. So take a look as you wish there. All right, some stacks. Again, the Giants stack, Jones, Barkley, and Slayton could all be possibilities. Chicago stack, Fields with Mooney, Claypool. You saw I had Kmet in there as well. Potentially David Montgomery if Herbert is out. So again, injury news, we'll find out what happens there. Dallas stack, Prescott with CD Lamb. And then Pollard, again, if Zeke is out. Washington stack, we have Heineke, Robinson, McLaurin, Samuel. Take your pick. Personally, I would go McLaurin over Samuel, but if you're looking for that salary relief, Samuel is a good play there as well. And what's next, guys? What's next? So, live show, November 23rd, 9:30 Eastern time. All right, that's next Wednesday, a week from today. Office hours, just message me if you want to know. I'm not going to be sitting in the voice room tomorrow. I will be on a flight tomorrow at this time, so I will not be available during the Thursday night game. I'll probably be watching on the plane, but I will be on a flight, so not available for that. But if you guys want to message me and you want to find out any information, you want to know who I like, this player, I love when you guys ask me that stuff. I've gotten quite a few over the past few weeks, so if you guys have questions on that, again, Discord chat room, the DFS Domination tab. If you want to email me, dicedgen@gmail.com. If you want to DM me on Instagram, fantasy football or daily fantasy domination. Same thing on Twitter. You can DM me on there as well. And that is how to contact me. All right, guys. And that'll bring us to the end of the show. I wish you guys luck in week 11 here. Hopefully some of these picks have you thinking about building different lineups. Again, injury news is important. Sunday morning, I will be posting the lineups for my top 5, top 6 guys at each position. So be on the lookout for that on Discord, Instagram, and Twitter. And that'll bring us to the end of the show, guys. Good luck if you're playing any competitions this week. Again, remember to always bet smart. Do not bet more than you can afford to lose. And I will see you guys next week.